Thank you all for joining today's webinar, Tracking Physical Records with Barcoding and RFID. We appreciate you joining us today. The first thing I would like to do is take a quick moment and introduce our speakers. My name is Maya Woldridge, and I'm the Business Development Representative here at Gimmal. Today, I'm joined by our key speaker, Client Success Manager, and all-around customer advocate, Cindy Matter. We also have Solution Architect Tim Butler joining us as our technical guru to pop in and answer some questions during our Q&A portion. Now, before we get started, I've got a few housekeeping items to go through. If you do have any questions throughout the webinar, feel free to submit them in the Q&A portion section on your screen, and we will answer as many as we have time for at the end of the presentation. There will also be a couple of poll questions that you'll see pop up, so keep an eye out for that. And as always, if you have any technical difficulties, please let us know and we can assist you. Now to kick things off, I'd like to take the next couple of slides to tell you a little bit about Gimmal and how we can help you take control of your information with our suite of solutions. Founded in 2002, Gimmal is a records, information management, and governance software company that helps you balance the value your information provides with the risk it also presents. So whether you're trying to discover information in unstructured data sources, migrate from legacy systems, or comply with policies across multiple repositories, Gimmal can help you achieve your information governance goals. We have a client success team and global network of partners that deliver solutions in conjunction with key partners like Microsoft and SAP. Gimmal's family of software products work together to let you create an efficient digital workplace. Our comprehensive suite of solutions include migration, file analysis, electronic and physical records management, and document management for SAP. For those of you who are not new to our webinars, you may have noticed a slight name change in our products. They are the same solutions, just simply with a more simplified name for easier reference. And now I'd like to go ahead and hand it off to Cindy to get us started with today's presentation.
Thank you, Maya. So today we're going to talk about tracking physical records. What we're going to cover is why our customers use barcodes and RFID tags, what are the differences between both products, what are some common uses in physical record management, and what are some flexible barcode creation tips. And then we'll follow up with some questions. But first, I'm going to turn it back to Maya for our poll.
All right, so we like to learn a little bit about our audience during these. How many records per week do you spend searching for lost files? Is it never, 1 to 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours? Maybe it's too many. You can go ahead and click one of those options on the screen.
I'll be curious, Maya, if this compares to what we have heard from our customers.
Give it another minute to get in some more.
Okay.
Some more answers there. All right, those are the results.
Wow, 1 to 2 hours. The results are in. So that looks similar to what we've heard. We've heard that employees can spend up to actually 2 hours looking for files every day. So it's pretty close. So why do you use barcodes and RFID tags? Let me just say in general, most people like to keep track of where their active records are, and that can be a real challenge for businesses or departments that have many people accessing their records. Often, for example, a file must move from person to person as a project or a transaction progresses through its various stages. Also, when a warehouse or a record center, they can hold tens of thousands of boxes and hundreds of thousands of files, there must be a way to find them. In the past, before barcoding and RFID tags, managers often used actually paper and pencil and a lot of man hours to shelve and locate records. But the majority of the customers that we work with today use and apply barcodes and RFID tags on their trackable items. When we say trackable items, we refer to like documents, files, file folders, boxes. For example, a document could be in a file folder and then placed in a box, and all 3 items have barcodes. Each file that is barcoded is then associated with the barcode assigned to a box. Each shelf position of a record center has a barcode also. So when we place the box on the shelf, we can scan both the barcodes, and that tells the software application exactly where that file and box are located. So that's why we say one of the main reasons is a full chain of custody tracking, because this type of tracking makes you compliant to many government and industry requirements, because we maintain that history each time of when an item is scanned. The date and time stamp is saved each time a scan is performed, so you're able to find that. Because the files have barcodes and RFID tags, it is much easier for users to request and transfer files. And because we have this audit trail, we know where to start looking. As we saw in our poll, people do spend time during their day looking for lost files. There is actually an older PricewaterhouseCoopers study that estimates the cost of finding a single document is $122. Further, they estimate that a business loses 7.5% of the 10,000 or so documents it works with on average. So a great deal of company information is very vulnerable to being lost, or could be theft or loss, or theft as well. Depending upon the information, losing a file can lead to a major security threat, as well as the potential of legal action. We know that filing, organizing, and retrieving documents takes up time, and documents and files can get lost or misplaced too often. So this is valuable time to find or replace these documents, if they can be replaced. So luckily, with this barcoding and RFID technology, it has lightened the burden and the cost of document management, because you're able to keep track of where these items are. Also, our customers do find it's very timely for information retrieval. One thing is inventory reconciliation, or some of our clients call that just audits. It's much faster and more efficient with the use of RFID tag, barcodes, and scanner technology. Some of our customers run these inventory reconciliations quarterly or annually to make sure everything is where it should be. At the end of the reconciliation, clients normally end up with those things that match perfectly, those items that are misfiled, and then the third one is just items that they can't find. So it's really important to use barcode scanning for that, because it just makes the job easier. These reconciliations are often done just for compliance reasons. We've also found that some of our customers during mergers and acquisitions will use this type of reconciliation as well. Recently, we worked with a pharmaceutical company that was acquiring a particular product from another pharmaceutical company, and they needed to prove all the documents that were related to this particular product. It was much easier for them to pull the report from the software and use the information to go find the items on a particular shelf, or if it was checked out to a user. Scanning the barcodes or RFID tags help them confirm that they are sharing the required information. Previously, for clients to do this, they would have to get their teams, go into a warehouse or a record center or their offices, and they would actually open every box to inventory its contents. This can be time consuming, because often there can be 6 to 10 boxes on a shelf, and there may be 5 shelves and lots of rows of shelves. So it's much faster to achieve with scanning the location and items in that location. Then the information can be uploaded to your software for verification. Another reason that we find our customers use barcodes and RFID tags is just plain old control. There are some people that, unless all their items can be in one room with one gatekeeper and you can only come and view them under strict conditions, I mean, that would be perfect, but it's really not reality. So today, a lot of our customers even barcode down to the document level. For example, they may have maybe a financial industry where there are multiple documents for one transaction, maybe like a loan process. So they actually may barcode all the different documents that go into that folder. So then they can keep track of not only the workflow process of those documents, but also where they are as well as the file. Another reason is space planning. With the use of the barcode and RFID technologies, any item can be placed anywhere. When you have a large warehouse or rows of shelves in a filing unit, you don't need to map off sections for each department. And then if that department grows, you have to create other sections within your warehouse. And we do have many clients that do that. They may rope off a whole section for, HR or for legal cases. But then what happens is as those departments grow, they either have to add these other sections, or sometimes they do a lot of back shifting to accommodate the growth in a department. Because each unit or shelving unit, that is barcoded, and so is the item, they can place a box or file in any spot and easily find it because these items can be scanned and the information is in the software. This helps to occupy all the spaces more efficiently within your location and hopefully eliminate any back shifting. Also, the disposition of items is made simpler. Once the disposition process is completed within the software, you can actually take your pick list or whatever you need to dispose that information to your warehouse or send it to your offsite vendor to pull those boxes for destruction. You don't have to open each box to see what is in it and if it should be destroyed. You can actually scan the barcodes or RFID tags, then you can verify that you're processing the correct items for disposition. So again, why do our customers use barcodes and RFID tags? They use them for full chain of custody tracking, for inventory reconciliation, to find lost files, for control, for space planning, and also to make the disposition of items simpler. So what are some of the differences between the products? Depending upon the application, either system will have its strengths and weaknesses. For example, for a barcode, they're normally less expensive than an RFID tag. A black and white barcodes are directly printed, usually onto standard Avery stock. However, we do have some customers that also will print them on one-up printers. Brand names are Zebra and Dynamo, if you recognize those. Then in addition to the standard Avery stock and the network printers, they normally have a barcode scanner. The three that we normally see are either a tethered, which is just connected to your PC, a wireless tethered, or a portable scanner. With the RFID, the hardware that you need is a fixed reader with an antenna, an RFID scanner, an RFID printer if you want to print your own tags, and also the tags. We do find that many of our customers today will just order pre-programmed RFID tags so they don't have to print them themselves. And then these scanners, whether barcode or RFID, this information is actually then sent to your computer so you have all of your software up to date as to what has been scanned. With regards to barcode, we find that a lot of people are very comfortable and familiar with this technology. Barcodes are a universal technology and everybody's used to them now. Movie theaters, event venues, travel tickets, all these use barcodes and then they scan them to verify the ticket and admission process. Because today barcodes are almost found on every item, for example, even some apps allow you to track the food you eat with the help of a barcode. Barcodes have become standard in many industries over the years. So this is why most people find it user-friendly and that less training is required for their employees. One thing about barcode scanners is that they do need a direct line of sight to the barcode to be able to read it. Many of us have probably experienced that in a grocery store when you're doing a shelf checkout, that needs to be a direct line of sight to the barcode. Where on the other hand, RFID tags don't need to be positioned in a line of sight with the scanner. RFID tags can be read at a faster rate than barcodes. Sometimes approximately 40 RFID tags can be read at the same time. Now, in order to read the barcode, the wireless tethered barcode scanner needs to be no more than 80 feet from your PC. A tethered scanner is connected to your PC, similar to what we described as that self-checkout at the grocery store. So your proximity is a little closer. With an RFID tag, they can normally be read at a greater distance. RFID tags can work sometimes within up to 300 feet to be read. Barcodes can also easily be reprinted if damaged at a minimal cost. One thing about RFID tags is that they sometimes struggle picking up the information when passing through metal or liquid. Also, sometimes people pack their boxes so dense that it might be hard for the signal to pass through that object, so the reading range may be diminished. Also, sometimes with RFID, tag collision can occur when numerous tags in the same area respond at the same time. So when it comes time for you to make a decision between either RFID or barcode, you just have to keep the initial and reoccurring costs in mind, as well as the potential return on your investment, and then just how easily your staff will be used to change and adjustment. So let's talk about some of the common uses in physical records management. One is your offsite vendor. If you're using an offsite vendor, many of them already use barcodes and RFID to keep track of your items. Usually it's boxes, but also many of our customers use barcodes and RFID tags when they have offsite storage units themselves or offsite record centers. Boxes, whether they're on-prem or in a warehouse or an offsite storage vendor location, usually always have barcodes or an RFID tag. The same with active files, particularly active files because they do move around your office. Shelves, so we know where a file or a box is located or placed for easy access. And then user badges as well. Many of our employees now will have a barcode on their badge, so it'll make it easier to request and transfer an item when they can just scan that barcode. Also, many customers use it for this inventory reconciliation, as we talked about earlier. What we do find with many of our customers is they have many geographic locations. And so this is especially important when sharing information because they may be shipping boxes or files between locations if the management of that project changes. Also, with COVID, many customers have closed offices. So then that inventory needs to be moved to another office. So the reconciliation is so much easier when there's barcodes or RFID tags so that you can easily scan them and know what you have. So let's talk about what are some flexible barcode creation tips. Remember, the most important part of label creation is to make you more productive. A key component is that the item can be quickly identified and easily and reduce human error. So one of the items that most people put on their barcodes or on their labels is an eye-readable or a barcode symbology. An eye-readable is just simply the printed number, and then the barcode symbology is normally code of 9. We actually see most customers will put both of these on their labels. One just so they can read it with their eyes and the other so they can scan it. Label size, since most of our customers do tend to use either the Avery labels or the 1-Up, the label size is very helpful depending on the item you're putting on. Obviously, a shelf label is normally smaller than a box label. And then we try to encourage them to do information that doesn't change. For example, we try to ask our customers to avoid putting a location, like a shelf, a destruction date, just in case something goes on legal hold, or also a retention schedule, because sometimes those can change. So what do our customers normally put on a barcode or on the label? They normally put the organization or department name, the barcode, a box description, and the box description really depends upon the length because you don't usually want a novel on there because you want it just to be able to identify quickly and easily. Also, they may put a date to and from, as well as the off-site storage vendor. So when it comes time to making these decisions, either one, just again, please keep in mind the initial and recurring costs, as well as any potential return on your investment and also your users. So now let me turn it back to Maya for further questions.
Yeah, I think we've got another poll that's about to be up on the screen here. If you're interested in a personalized demonstration of Gimmal Physical, let us know and we'd be happy to reach out and schedule something for you and your team. And with that, we've now reached the Q&A portion of our presentation. Let's see what we've got here. First question I've got is, what scanners does Gimmal work with? Are there some that you recommend?
Yes, actually there are 3 that we're recommending that we have been tested in-house. One is the Zebra. It's the DS4608 tethered barcode scanner. Another is the Zebra LI4278, which is the wireless tethered barcode scanner. And then the portable scanner, we either recommend the Zebra TC51 or the TC52.
All right. Does Gimmal Physical use active or passive RFID tags, and what's the difference?
Gimmal actually, I don't know if Tim, if you want to handle this question a little more than me, we use the
Sure.
passive.
Sure, be glad to. Yeah, good question, guys. As some of you are aware, there are 2 basic technologies for RFID tags. Active, which you're familiar with, which is where you find in your Easy Pass as you go through a toll booth, or if you inadvertently take a piece of clothing out of the store and they haven't removed that tag. All of those use active RFID. Active RFID basically means there's a battery in use, which increases the read range of the RFID tags. For records management purposes, you could use active, but not usually recommended because you don't know when the batteries go dead. For that reason, passive RFID is almost always implemented, meaning indefinite lifespan for the tags, but the read range is significantly reduced when using passive RFID.
All right, thanks, Tim. Let's see. Do you have any more questions coming in on the chat? Maybe one question, why do we recommend those certain scanners that you mentioned, Cindy?
The 3 scanners that we recommend is we normally recommend just the Zebra technology because we have tried those and have had great success with them from a customer perspective. I don't know, Tim, if you want to add any additional information on that.
No, I don't think so. I think you answered it pretty well, but I do see a couple of real-time questions coming in concerning phone apps. Can you use phone apps to read barcodes? And 2 answers to that. The quick answer is yes. Most of you are now familiar with going to a restaurant and using the camera on your phone. You're reading a barcode on those menus. And yes, whether it's just the native camera to the smartphone or a piece of software, phone apps can be used to read barcodes. Having said that, we don't recommend you use them because of the time it takes for the focus to actually resolve as you read barcodes. So in theory, they can be used, but they're much less efficient than using a barcode scanner, which almost always uses a laser that is emitted from the scanner, which enables a much faster read rate of that.
Great, thanks, Tim. When would you use an RFID versus a barcode label?
Generally speaking, guys, in the end, they do the same thing, right? They uniquely identify what you stick them on. However, RFID tags are used primarily in 2 instances. One where the items that you are adhering the tags to have a high degree of mobility. That is, they are moving a lot. Common scenarios include the justice industry, law firms, mortgage industry, where those paper files move from person to person or department to department. Number 2 scenario is when you have, similar to number 1, when those items that you are tracking, because they are moving so much, they tend to get lost or misplaced. RFID has the nice benefit of being able to essentially, with a portable RFID scanner, program it to look for missing items. And it's kind of like the Geiger counter effect, right? You're monitoring for missing items, and as you get closer and closer, the frequency of the beep increases. So a nice handy way to find those items that are missing with RFID. Barcodes will not provide that functionality to you.
Okay. Does Gimmal have customers that use RFID tags for equipment inventory?
Great question. I don't know off the top of my head, but the answer is probably, because remember, guys, with Gimmal Physical, you can track any hard copy object, and the software actually comes RFID ready out of the box. So we don't always know who's using RFID and who's not. One word of caution with RFID, it can be used absolutely for equipment inventory, but there are some environmental concerns to take into consideration, primarily the use of metal. So if your inventory, your equipment is primarily metal, that interferes with RFID technology and greatly reduces the read range.
All right. Another question I've got here. How do the scanners connect to the software?
Couple of options there, guys. So Cindy briefly mentioned this during the presentation. For some of the scanners, depending upon the type, if it's a tethered, it's via a port directly on the device itself, whether it's a USB or a serial COM port. So that's option one. Option two, Cindy did briefly mention what's known as the tethered wireless, which utilizes Bluetooth technology to communicate back to an antenna that is plugged into the device. If you're talking portable barcode or portable RFID scanners, they can either, after scanning, can be brought back to a device, put into a cradle, and then uploaded that way, or depending upon your local infrastructure, the scans contained within can be communicated wirelessly via web services back to the Gimmal Physical application.
Great. Well, if anyone has any more questions, you can reference our contact information here on the next screen. You can also send us an email at info@gimmal.com, or you can visit us on our website at www.gimmal.com. For those interested in a recording of this webinar, we will be sending it out between 24 and 48 hours in the form of a thank you email. We also hope to see you for our webinar next week, how to use SharePoint as an SAP software document management platform. With that, thank you, everyone. We appreciate you joining us today.